everybody. Oh my God. A bit of news on this new conference realignment thing. That's right. Apparently ACC, Big Ten, and Pac-12 have been in talks for weeks about a super conference to form or an alliance of some kind. And this is great. Everybody knows how Sea-Dog feels about the daggum SEC super conference that they're doing with Texas and Oklahoma. I hate it. I think it ruins traditions, rivalries, and it's just all about the money, which everything about college football is about money these days, not about the sport, the love of the game anymore, but that's okay. And so the SEC grabs Texas and Oklahoma, which I hate. I hate that. I've made a ton of videos yelling about it. But anyway, the Big Ten, Pac-12, and ACC are talking about forming an alliance. This is the entire rest of the college football world. And notice how they left out the Big 12. I think that's great. I think that the Big 12 needs to be left out because this whole thing is their fault. I'm not saying the SEC is 100% blameless, but Texas and Oklahoma were unhappy. And it's the Big 12's fault for not keeping them happy. Literally, the two teams that if they leave your conference, they implode. They're down to Sunbelt level now. Just the Big 12 is. And it's their fault. A lot of this is very much their fault. And the SEC really just capitalized on what, I feel like Texas and Oklahoma, they were wanting out and would have probably gone somewhere else if they hadn't gone to the SEC. But the SEC is definitely after that money. Well, hey, the three other conferences that have absolutely just fumbled the bag over and over, and it seems like the SEC does everything right. Well, now the other conferences are growing a freaking spine. I talked a lot about how I thought maybe that the adding Notre Dame, Cincy, UCF, and even West Virginia wouldn't even, I wasn't even sure if that would be enough to keep up with the SEC. If the ACC could add these teams, I just felt like there wasn't enough teams for any one conference to be as good as the SEC is about to be with Texas and Oklahoma. But guess what? Yeah, that's right, SEC. You're going down. That's right. The other conferences have finally formed a spine. And the fact that they're leaving the Big 12 out is even better. You pluck the good teams out of there, Kansas for basketball and Iowa State probably to the Big 10. And the rest of them, I'm sorry, they're just not good enough. Maybe you add a few more to the Big 10. I don't know. But this is great. Now, what will the SEC's response be to this is what I'm wondering. Because as good as a move that this is, it seems like the SEC is always a few steps ahead of every other conference. It's like the SEC does everything right, and the other conferences are screwing around with their heads and their asses. So what will the SEC do in response to this is what I'm wondering. Maybe they don't do anything. But the implications of this are interesting. So they're talking about not just scheduling as far as this new super conference, but beyond that. This is, the SEC is big and everything, but these three other conferences, plus whatever remnants of the Big 12 want to join, maybe the Big 10 or ACC or Pac-12, that's like most of college football. That's most of college football. And the SEC is it is the best conference right now. But could this new super conference somehow maybe box the SEC out? Could they not schedule them? And then the playoffs somehow, or, there's no out-of-conference games anymore for the SEC? I don't know. The implications of this are interesting. I'm definitely going to be keeping up with this story because I feel like I didn't see this coming at all. I didn't see it coming. It's this kind of move that the other conferences needed to do to keep up. And I'm surprised that they did it, because usually they're incompetent. But this is great. This is great news. Will the SEC try to maybe pull away another conference out from this super conference? Because the SEC does provide a lot of benefits. And if the SEC were able to convince another team to get to buddy up with them somehow in some kind of alliance, then the other two, what would happen? We can rule out Pac-12, so it would be between the SEC's response would be between to buddy up with the Big Ten and the ACC. So that's interesting. Would the ACC? I don't feel like the Big Ten and the Pac-12 would ever split up. I don't feel like, and then that would leave the ACC and the Pac-12, and that would not be good. This is definitely a power move, but I can see it backfiring. What if they go to the Big Ten or the ACC, and the ACC and Big Ten says, screw this new conference, we're going to buddy it with the SEC, be the best freaking conference ever. The implications of this are crazy. This is definitely not over, this story, and I'll definitely be keeping this updated. I like the move. If everybody sticks to it, this will be good. And the SEC comes to the ACC and asks them to form some kind of alliance. What does that do? What does the SEC say? Do they stick with the Pac-12 and Big Ten? Or do they say, screw that, and go to the SEC and form, without a doubt, the strongest conference and cement the SEC and ACC as the two best conferences? I don't know. Well, I'm going to stay this updated, guys. I appreciate it. Obviously, I want whatever. I'm a Tech fan. I want whatever's best for my school. I was upset about this whole thing because I was afraid the SEC would leave everybody else behind. But now it seems like the other conferences are biting back, and I love that. I love it. So, go Jackets. I'll keep you guys updated, and I'll see you next time.